Good morning, everybody. What's going on? Welcome back to Movie Mornings. I'm your host, Don Martino, and today's a special episode where we're talking about Doctor Strange, directed by Scott Derrickson, released in the year 2016. This movie is awesome for a multitude of reasons, but we'll get into all that here in a minute. But before we get started, please hit the like button below, subscribe to the channel, leave some feedback in the comment section, share this with your friends, and hit that bell for notifications. So yeah, talking about Doctor Strange today, once again from director Scott Derrickson, director of Exorcism of Emily Rose, Sinister, most recently Black Phone, which is coming out here really soon. So yeah, we are gonna have a huge discussion on it. I can't wait. We just rewatched it, me and my two panelists here. So let me introduce you to them, as usual, Mr. Jose Espino. What's going on?
What's up, man? I'm glad to be here, and as Dom said, we just rewatched the first Doctor Strange, and honestly, upon this rewatch, there's just so much that I want to talk about. It's changed my mind completely about, I mean, not about how I enjoyed this film, just about how other people view this film and how underrated it is, and I just can't wait to get into why, this film is actually so good and why people just shouldn't underrate it so much.
I don't know if it's a thing of it being underrated so much as it is just not talked about enough.
I think the reason why it's not talked about so much is because of how complex it is. Like we've said before, that people just look for simplicity in films, and I think because it's just so complex, people kind of just brush it over.
It's like a forgotten gem. You know what I mean?
That's what I mean. Because when it comes to films, especially for Marvel, people just want to see that simplistic Avengers type movie. In terms of Marvel movies, that they just oversee this film here, and none of us here feel that way because of the complexity of this movie and what we're about to talk about here about this film, which I can't wait to get into. So
absolutely. Yeah. And also with us today, guys, is Mr. David Schresch. David, how's it going?
I am doing absolutely excellent. Thank you for asking. Yeah, we revisited this movie. I'm not gonna lie, there was a lot of stuff that I totally forgot, and I definitely remember from the first time through. Now that I've rewatched it, but the decent amount of comedy actually in this. I don't remember a lot of the funny lines that were like, man, I died laughing. I was like, shit, I don't remember that the first time I watched it. As well as some dark scenes as well, like some stuff that I was like, oh, I don't remember that being so gory and kind of dark.
There's so much they're setting up in this one that I just forgot that they were setting up, like even way back then, and that's what kind of enhanced it for me, for sure.
Yeah, honestly, I feel the same. Like this movie just did so much that we forgot about, that I appreciated so much, in this rewatch, that I just can't wait to get into, because it was just that good, and there was just so much in it that we need to talk about, especially coming to Doctor Strange 2, that we need to talk about, honestly.
For sure. And like, let's start with like just kind of an overall new thoughts on it, and start there, because there are people that probably still have not seen this one. Like, I know people, for example, that watch like the big event films when it comes to Marvel, but don't watch like some of these smaller ones like this.
Honestly,
sometimes they consider this filler, I think, and
honestly,
yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say, I 100% agree with you. I have friends who have seen all the Avenger movies, but haven't seen any of these other like side in quotation marks, all these solo movies of the people who are a part of the Avengers. They haven't seen these movies only because they're just new viewers of Marvel, and they don't understand these solo movies and the depth and perception that these movies bring to the MCU.
Yeah, and go ahead.
And what they bring to future projects for the MCU, for these future phases. And that's what we're trying to do here for you guys today, is break down and make you guys understand what it is exactly that these solo projects are going to bring in the future for MCU projects.
Absolutely. And going off your point there, Jose, like when we say there's a lot of people that just watch the event films, not so much these in between what they think are filler films, there's going to be a lot of people going to see Multiverse of Madness, seeing the scope of it. And
like it's the same thing with No Way Home. I mean, No Way Home tapped into the multiverse, and if I'm being honest, this film tapped into it before that movie, but I feel like Doctor Strange 2 is going to tap even more into the multiverse,
Right.
which is why I think like this is a very good step for the MCU, and it's going to expand and make better movies for the MCU coming forward.
This movie will, then I'll start here. This movie will better your experience for those event films. When you go back to rewatch them, or when you're going to see this new Doctor Strange, especially, there's so much set up already in this one, that you probably didn't even realize. Now,
that I was gonna say that we've realized, watching this again, we've realized that it's just setting up so much for future projects in terms of the multiverse, especially because of the fact that it's already basically tapped into that aspect.
Yeah. Let me start here because, I've been following Scott Derrickson since Exorcism of Emily Rose. So I followed his career for a long time, and I think he's a brilliant director. Now, this movie, he adds so much style to it. It's amazing. When you think about the visuals of this movie, it's some of the best I've seen in the MCU, to be completely honest with you, whether it's the buildings folding or just Strange kind of going through all those dimensions or the pussy stairs, whatever you want to see. It's, it's like, it's all there, Scott
100%.
Derrickson puts it in there. He puts the style.
Honestly, it's one of the best and one of the most underrated Marvel movies, honestly. Like, we were talking about this when we were rewatching this movie. It's honestly one of the most underrated Marvel movies because people just, again, I've said it and I'll say it again. People just don't understand. Like, most people nowadays just want simplicity when it comes to movies. That's just not us. We want complexity. We want to think outside the box. We want to actually think when we watch movies, because that's what we're here for.
Right.
And that's, if I'm being honest, I'm in college. I'm in college for film and media, and I'm trying to become an actor and all that. Like, I look for complexity when it comes to movies because it'll make me go out of the range that that I'm in, and it'll challenge actors to try something they never tried before, and really just challenge the movie and the franchise in general to really go out there and go outside the box. Do something they've never really done before, that is kind of it's not basic, and will really challenge the franchise. And look, it might not work for most fans, but for the fans that really enjoy complexity and outside the box content, it works for us because that's what we thrive for.
I think something else that we were pointing out too is the writing in the movie. The script is very good. It's very solid.
Like, the people that wrote this movie, I want to give props to them.
I think Derrickson wrote the script as well.
Look,
on top of directing,
if he wrote it, hands down to him, because he absolutely killed the writing for this movie, because it was amazing. This really tapped into the multiverse and did something that I think most Marvel films really haven't done, if I'm being honest.
Props to Kevin Feige too upon this, looking at somebody like.
In terms of people that work in Disney, Kevin Feige is probably one of the best, if not the best, because this guy has really put Marvel into the best situation ever.
Well, this is what he does. He sees somebody like Scott Derrickson who's making kind of these smaller horror films. Sinister, Exorcism of Emily Rose, Deliver Us from Evil is another really good one, in my opinion, underrated. And Kevin Feige looks at that and says, that guy could direct a Marvel movie. He just sees it. He has the eye, and he hires that guy.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing with Sam Raimi in terms of this upcoming film of Doctor Strange 2. He sees the horror that he can do with his movies. Yeah. And he's like, okay, he can do this Doctor Strange 2 amazing. And there's no one better for the role.
Dave, honestly. Quick, non-spoiler overall thoughts on this, and then we'll just jump right into the heavy dive.
Yeah, like I said, it was really, really dark, way darker than I thought. There was a few scenes that for some reason I must have brushed over in the movie theater, because there was a few scenes where I was like, oh, that person is very dead, very violently dead. Right. So a lot darker 100%. Than I thought, which is kind of fun to see with the first one, because now we know, with Sam Raimi on the second one, it's going to be even darker and 100%. And kind of the same with, like we were saying, with a lot of the scenes there is now with like the building scenes and everything, and a lot of the crazy like mind screwy stuff, those are even looking crazier just from what we've seen in the trailer so far. So this whole movie really got me excited for the second one. There's a lot of line drops that get me excited. Things like you can't just and this isn't a direct quote, obviously, because I can't remember direct quotes like that, but you know, the insinuation of like, you can't just screw around and break the rules of the universe and screw around with dark magic and just think that there won't be consequences, which is obviously a huge theme in the second movie that we're going to see. So yeah, this thing is like a hype train for the second movie. I suggest everyone to go back and watch this. There's so many new things upon watching, new revelations that I think will help out both the understanding and dive deeper and appreciate more what they're going to do with this new movie here.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%.
I was going to say, like, if you've seen this movie, if it's been a very long time since you've seen this movie, I would advise you guys to go rewatch this and kind of open your mind to what this will open up for the second movie. If you haven't seen this by now, which has been like 6 years now, I would advise you guys to watch this movie before watching, Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, because what this movie opens up for the future of the MCU is actually a lot bigger than you guys think.
Yeah.
Like a lot of you people are very close-minded and are kind of just fans of like the Avenger movies. But what you guys don't realize is that these like what you guys call filler movies actually have a way bigger impact on the future of the MCU than you guys realize.
Yeah.
And like, especially this Doctor Strange movie, when it tapping into the multiverse, it has a way bigger, especially with No Way Home, I mean, which is already out, has a way bigger impact on the multiverse than you guys really think. And WandaVision also obviously taps into that because of, the trailer that we've seen that, Doctor Strange goes to Wanda. It has a way bigger impact than you guys really think for future MCU movies.
Yeah, well, to be fair, too, one of the other things I wanted to point out in terms of like viewership of Doctor Strange is that there's two things that it didn't really have going for it for just like non-Marvel enthusiasts like ourselves. And that is, one, if you've never heard of, if you're not a big Marvel fan, if you hear the words Doctor Strange, you're kind of like, that sounds weird. Who the hell is Doctor Strange?
He's a doctor.
Show me Spider-Man or Captain America. So most people just have a name value, it's like he doesn't have much name value, kind of like Moon Knight. When I tell people about Moon Knight, they're like, what the hell is that? Well, it's like, oh man, you don't even begin to know what I'm talking about right now. So there's always that, as well as the fact of, it was kind of a weird time when Doctor Strange got released. This is the time of Civil War in the MCU.
That's
line,
true.
Just kind of a weird and wacky time. Like the more recent movies were like Civil War, the Guardians had just had their movie like a year or two before.
Yep.
The Deadpool is just coming out, and obviously that was FX at the time, but it's just like it was just a weird, wacky time in the timeline. And a lot of people were probably like, I just saw Civil War, that wasn't great. A lot of people didn't like Civil War a lot, and who the hell is even Doctor Strange? I'm not gonna go see this movie. So I don't think that helped it for as great as it is, because I mean, with it being complex, it's still, I think, for both young viewers, old, big Marvel watchers, to ones that don't see a lot of movies, I think anyone could go see this movie and enjoy it. Anyone that I've told, like my friends that have watched the movies, and I go over the list and they're like, yeah, I kind of like Marvel, I've seen the movies, and again, they show up to watch like the Avengers and stuff, and I go like, you haven't seen Doctor Strange? I was like, go watch Doctor Strange. All of them have come back and been like, damn, that was a freaking amazing movie. That's one of the best. So yeah, maybe it just didn't have too much in terms of engaging with audiences too much, but obviously I think that'll be totally different with this new one. I think this trailer alone is just like irresistible for people at this point.
Well, let me stop you there really quick, because that was a question I was going to ask you, and we can now open it up to spoilers. So if you haven't seen Doctor Strange, please step out now and come back when you've seen it.
If you haven't seen it at this point, it's been 6 years. If you haven't seen it at this point, there's something. There's something wrong with you, especially if you're a Marvel fan. If you haven't seen Doctor Strange yet, there's something wrong with you, because it's one of the best. It's been 6 years now, and this movie is like, especially upon this rewatch, I've appreciated this movie so much more because of the complexity that this movie puts out. Especially seeing the trailer for the second film. It's just opened up so much for not only this second movie, but also for future MCU projects.
Well, again, okay, so I want to stop you there though, because this is what my first question to you guys, because I was thinking about this on this rewatch, and this regards the Multiverse of Madness coming out. So we rewatched this movie now, and we all agree upon a reappraisal, it's an even better movie than we realized.
Oh, 100%.
And it's great, right? A lot of that is due to what Derrickson brought to it.
Oh,
so
he killed it.
Do you think that Sam Raimi directing the Multiverse of Madness can have any negative connotations on it? And just in terms of our own personal opinion, now that we've rewatched this one and have kind of re-fallen in love with it in a way, do you think that Sam Raimi, the switch of director, is going to have any negative connotations on it? Because when you think about Derrickson, he was initially supposed to direct Multiverse of Madness. This was originally his vision, and now it's been passed to Raimi. So what are your guys' thoughts on that?
Well, so I have a question real quick. Why was it passed to Sam Raimi and not him instead?
The usual creative differences. So
okay,
yeah.
Okay. So the first thing is, I feel like Sam Raimi went to him and said, "All right, what do you think the second movie should be like?" He took his notes. Obviously, Sam Raimi is going to do it his own way, but I feel like at the same time, he kind of took his notes.
I have heard from the first 20 minutes alone at CinemaCon, this is definitely a Sam Raimi film. But anyway, continue.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Okay. So CinemaCon, I mean, it could be just his, but I feel like he might have taken some of his notes and kind of maybe not done exactly what he said, but kind of twisted it in his own way, which I can appreciate. Now, if this is just fully just Sam Raimi and nothing to do with the guy who directed the first one, I can appreciate that too, because when you look at Sam Raimi's Spider-Man movies, he knows how to do the dark version of movies when it comes to superheroes and villains. So in terms of this movie, I can appreciate what Sam Raimi has put into this movie. And knowing the Doctor Strange movie and watching the trailer, it's very dark, and Sam Raimi knows how to do dark movies. I can appreciate Sam Raimi in terms of dark movies.
Yeah, and in terms of things that I would be worried about, I mean, I honestly feel really confident just for the fact of, obviously, just from watching the trailer, we could see that Sam Raimi respected the world building of it.
100%.
In terms of the aspects of, again, the really crazy shots that we got here. In terms of things that I would be worried about, the only thing that I thought that I would be worried about in just a change of director is, upon rewatch, I see the character arc of Doctor Strange, and I really like it throughout the movie. His character arc is really great. But obviously, just from what we know of the trailer and the movie, I think Sam Raimi is going to do an excellent job of carrying on that character arc of him. And because one of the biggest things is that Doctor Strange, he learns he hasn't learned his lesson of tampering with shit that shouldn't be tampered with. So that's obviously something that's going to be explored here, because thus far it worked for him in Doctor Strange. It worked for him in Infinity War / Endgame.
Yep.
And so he keeps fucking with shit that probably shouldn't be fucked with. And so now it seems like Sam Raimi is going to explore the inevitable hurdle for him to jump, which is him facing some real repercussions for him delving into magic and powers that probably shouldn't be messed with, and him really having to deal with the consequences of that. So that's the one thing I was going to be worried about, but just from the trailer, I mean, that pretty much eased everything that I would have been worried about there.
Well, you see, I'll bounce on that too. Is like, yes, Doctor Strange, in this movie, I feel like he will, karma suture, like, because karma exists, in my opinion, and I feel like he's going to experience the karma in this movie, and I feel like it's going to make him grow as a character for future films, whether it's another solo Doctor Strange movie or future projects that he like cameos in or he's a supporting role in. In this movie he will understand and learn from his experiences of what he's tampered with in the Doctor Strange movie. He will understand and learn from the wrongs that he's done, which in his mind obviously were right, but in the end will probably be wrong, obviously. And it's just something that I love about the MCU, is that characters learn and understand from past decisions that they've made that in their mind were right, but in the end were wrong.
I think what Sam Raimi has that a lot of other directors don't have, that like coming into this, is when you look at when Edgar Wright got taken off of Ant-Man for creative differences, for example, and Peyton Reed came in to direct it. everybody was like, what experience does Peyton Reed have in this type of world, this type of franchise world and comic book world? And he killed it. Ant-Man was great.
Oh yeah, Ant-Man, the first Ant-Man is amazing.
Kevin Feige has the eye. Like, again, it goes back to Feige having the eye. He's done really well keeping it together. But Sam Raimi has an advantage that Peyton Reed didn't have, which is he's kind of proven himself in this world before, and he's worked with Feige before on his original Spider-Man trilogy.
Right.
So there's that to it. I think that's a benefit and an advantage.
I was gonna say, yeah. Like you said, you know, he came in and he did Ant-Man amazing. I loved the first Ant-Man. It was great, and I just loved it, and I can't wait to see, you know, what these directors have for future MCU films.
Yeah.
Whether they do the same character again or they do a different one, I would love to see them do different characters, because it just will show how great they are doing different characters. It will just show their diversity, you know. And that's something that I love to see in a director, especially, is them taking on different roles and being able to direct them in a way that we've just never seen before.
Well, and I hope another thing that we can get out of this, in a sense, is nostalgia for Sam Raimi's style in a way.
Yeah, because
him coming back to the comic book world, you know.
I just see Sam Raimi kind of doing the same dark aspect that he did especially in the third one with Venom and Sandman. That kind of like dark aspect. I just see him doing the same thing with this Doctor Strange too. Just more darker, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I just see him taking a darker turn with it, especially just from the trailer alone. I just see him taking more of a darker turn in this movie, especially considering the multiverse aspect. It's just a lot different from what he's done before, because obviously with, you know, Venom, Eddie Brock, and Sandman, it's just a big change from now with Doctor Strange 2 involving a multiverse with Wanda and all these other different people that are and characters that are going to be in this movie.
And a lot of people don't realize Sam Raimi's already technically done a multiverse movie in a sense. Army of Darkness was kind of his third Evil Dead film was kind of multiverse.
Exactly. And
Ash kind of traveled back into a medieval universe in a sense. So
exactly.
Yeah.
You raise a good point, but that too, like he's had experience with this kind of concept, and that's why I'm not nervous or, you know, different about this movie coming up, because Sam Raimi's had experience with this kind of movie, and that's why I think that Sam Raimi was probably the best decision for this kind of movie, and I'm glad that Kevin Feige decided to bring Sam Raimi to direct.
I agree with you. Yeah, I think he's a good choice.
Because he just knows how to make movies darker than they should actually be, especially with a movie like Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness that is supposed to be a darker film, especially
that was the whole idea.
Especially when you bring a character like Wanda, which when we last left her off in WandaVision, she was kind of darker because she had two different personalities. One that was kind of just chilling, you know, just sitting outside of her cabin drinking tea or whatever. And then her other personality that was reading that Darkhold book, like if anyone understands it, it's Sam Raimi. He just knows how to do those dark movies.
I agree with you. That was one thing that we can say for a fact that Feige and Derrickson did agree on, is this did need to be the first horror film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Even though Sam Raimi's got the background, he started in horror,
and even though it's not rated R, I mean it's rated PG, of course, but it's still dark in the sense that it's not going to be rated R. It's still rated PG, but it's not, like, people confuse rated R with rated PG-13. Like, it can be dark, but it can still be PG-13.
Well, look at the Batman, right? I mean,
exactly. Which Sam Raimi understands, because he knows how to do that, and I'm confident in Sam Raimi with this Doctor Strange movie.
Me too. Yeah, go ahead, Dave.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. One of the things I was going to say that I was really looking forward to in Sam Raimi being such a good fit is the fact that one of the things that's very admirable, but over time can get kind of bothersome about a character like Doctor Strange is the fact that he's so competent I mean, thus far, the most struggle we've seen him go through, to which he was really beaten to his knees, is in this movie, in his origin story, where he's in the car accident. Because even post that, if you think about Doctor Strange's story, it's mainly been one of which, even when the odds were against him, he was very well composed. If you think back to Infinity War Endgame, he gets nervous, but that being said, he still keeps his composure all the way through. 100%. On his deathbed, looking at Tony Stark, he has nearly a smile on his face because he understands the situation well enough to be he's comfortable all the time. So one of the things that I know Sam Raimi will do, because he's done it to poor fucking Tobey Maguire in all three of the Spider-Man movies, is I'm looking forward to maybe seeing Doctor Strange in a situation in which he's extraordinarily frustrated, beaten to his knees, uncomfortable with the situation, and see him really roughed up in this movie, which is something I think we're going to get, is that we're going to finally see Doctor Strange like he was from the accident, 100%. Really shook,
I agree,
scared, and backed into a corner. Because I mean, again, even throughout this origin story that we just saw of Doctor Strange, we only really see that early on. The rest of the movie is him coming increasingly more and more knowledgeable and competent throughout the movie, even when the odds are against him. He's catching things on the run and coming out on top.
Yeah,
that's something, Dave, really quick though, that I want to jump off when you were mentioning Infinity War and Endgame. That's a good thing to bring up, because we've seen other filmmakers handle the character already, between John Watts, the Russos, and Taika Waititi, and they've all done a really great job handling Strange already. So I think that Sam Raimi is going to be no worse than them handling it.
I was going to say he's just another one of those directors that just knows how to handle the character of Doctor Strange so well.
Yeah.
And to bounce off of what Dave said, in terms of him risking stuff, like you just think about when he was looking back at those like 1 billion possibilities of them being victorious, it was him just giving up the time stone to Thanos, which in the end turned out to be right, because it just goes back to me thinking that he is the Ancient One, because the Ancient One is now dead, and so he has now become the Ancient One. He knows all the different possibilities that could happen, and that there's only one of them being victorious.
My favorite scene in Endgame, by the way, is Doctor Strange holding up the one to Tony. That is absolutely my favorite scene.
That honestly, when I saw that in the theater, I honestly cried, because that shit was
amazing.
It's so emotional, and if anyone if anyone tries to tell me differently, they're just dumb, because honestly, Doctor Strange is now the Ancient One, and he is so wise that his decisions are just great.
He's wise till he tries to help out a 18-year-old kid. Then he kind of messes up again.
True. Even then, it's like people got to put some respect on his name, man. I mean, in terms of admirable qualities, he has like the best of some of all of our favorite Marvel characters in terms of like, compared to Iron Man, Captain America. At the end of the movie, he is content with dying for eternity to make sure that everyone on Earth is safe. In the most torturous way possible. You can't win it. He goes, that's fine. I'll lose forever. You're stuck here with me, and everyone down on Earth is safe as long as I'm here. And it's like, damn, that is such an underrated quality that they displayed so well.
That just comes back to, the beliefs of the Ancient One. He learned from her. Even though most people believe that he was wrong, he always believed in her and her beliefs. And he will believe in other people in the future over anything else. He just knows the truth and will always know the truth, whether people disagree with him or not. And it's just such an admirable quality from Doctor Strange, and that's why I think and will always think that he's just such an underrated person in the MCU.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that's always the thing I've always admired about this film in particular, which let's start kind of diving into this one, because honestly, it is a part of the character, but it's also that thing of the second you see the character, and I love that the choice by Derrickson to just have him start dancing while he's doing surgery, because you understand so much about this guy with no words. It's like you just know. It's
like you just know from the beginning, really, that he's gonna be inside. After watching this movie, inside, that he's just gonna be Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Even before you knew that he's gonna be Doctor Strange, you just know from the beginning that he's going to become something bigger than just a neurosurgeon who thinks that everything he thinks is right.
It's something I feel upon. Yeah, go ahead.
That just goes back to him trying to be right all the time, especially that scene where he corrects the surgeon with the music, the song. Like he thinks he's right all the time, but in the end, there's just something bigger, that where he thinks he's right. He thinks he's right all the time, but there's just more to it than just that.
Well, you're right, because the thing that really struck me this time around is the guy gets a wake-up call when the Ancient One passes away because he couldn't save her. And this is this big wake-up call for this very arrogant man to
it goes back to it goes back to the scene where he gets accepted back into Gargantos, where he gets trained and showed the true way. Like he knows that there's something bigger than just his mind and what he thinks is right, because there's just so much more to learn. This, when it comes to the multiverse and all that kind of other stuff, he thinks he's right, but then he learns that there's just so much more to that.
Something I felt upon the beginning of this movie, and I always kind of felt it really from the first time I saw it, is it takes nothing but seconds to realize that what Robert Downey Jr. is to Iron Man, Benedict Cumberbatch is to Doctor Strange. Like, they're just so perfectly casted for the role.
100%.
And you figure that out in this movie within seconds. And playing into your point about the arrogance, he just embodies it to such a great degree.
Benedict Cumberbatch just embodies that arrogant Doctor Strange so much that it works so well in the future of this movie when he becomes Doctor Strange. It's the same thing with Robert Downey when his Tony Stark. He's just so arrogant, but then once he gets struck in the heart and he gets the surgery, whatever, he becomes Iron Man. He just realizes there's so much more to it than just being some rich billionaire or whatever. Same thing with Doctor Strange. He was a billionaire, but then he's in this accident. His hands are just fucked, and he goes to Gargantos and becomes something bigger. It's the same thing with Tony Stark.
Yeah,
he becomes something bigger. It's just something that I love and appreciate about the MCU, is that their characters just become something bigger than what they think about in their mind.
Well, they're both Dr. Stephen Strange and Tony Stark are very similar in the sense that while they work very different jobs, they're both very calculated in what they do. And they're so calculated that they forget the bigger picture.
Exactly. They become something bigger than what they thought that they were going to become. You know what I mean?
100%.
Like Tony Stark thought he was going to be this billionaire that worked on this technology that was going to advance history, but then he becomes Iron Man. Same thing with Doctor Strange. He thought he was going to be this billionaire neurosurgeon, but then becomes something way bigger.
Yeah.
They both didn't realize at the time, but then as time went by, they became something bigger than what they were.
Yeah. Go ahead, Dave. I thought it felt like you had to say something there.
No, I mean, you guys pretty much got everything down. And yeah, I think one of the biggest things I had to say was Cumberbatch was just so well for this role. I mean, in all of his acting in the movie too, I mean, it fluctuates so much at the beginning to finding his humbleness there, where he goes from arrogant to so desperate but still determined to being almost hopeless. It's kind of crazy how well he plays through all those moods.
Yeah.
From arrogant and stubborn all the way to his complete and utter desperation to find the truth and answers.
Yeah.
And then being humbled, he has that one scene where he kind of comes to the realization again. He tries, I think it's the Ancient One, tries to basically plead with him that, hey, you could go back to being a doctor and you could live that life, or you could have a greater purpose. And he almost rejects it. He's like, I have to be a doctor. My job is to go back. I'm not a sorcerer. I am a doctor. And then, he kind of accepts his fate, and that kind of goes into his character build that, again, all these other directors did a great job of picking up on and keeping up his that theme in every single role that he's in. He understands that he is to a certain extent responsible for the outcome of these events, and he's given up so much. He's given up his livelihood, having a normal life, being rich, just having the ability to sit back and enjoy life. He's given up so much for the people to give up now and stop
100%.
here.
It's true, but
100%.
yeah, that's kind of like, to me, like when he dives in, thinking of like the bigger picture of what he's had to go through, it kind of reminds me of when you go back into like No Way Home, you're kind of thinking that he's thinking, now we're going back to small time problems. This is kind of fun. I feel comfortable again in small time problems. But what he didn't learn is you have to take that responsibility with you throughout every move you make once you're in the position that you are. But back to the casting that you were talking about with Cumberbatch, this whole cast is phenomenal. Tilda Swinton brought so much humanity to the Ancient One. She would tell Ejiofor as Mordo, and Benedict Wong as Wong. It's so good. Everybody's
Wong
so
forever.
good. Wong forever, and I cannot
Wong
wait.
forever, honestly.
Yeah.
Let's make that a tweet.
Wong forever.
Bro, let's make that a tweet.
Yeah.
Benedict Wong as Wong forever. Honestly, like we said this when we were watching Doctor Strange. Like he will forever be Benedict Wong, and he has so much to come, especially in this movie.
Yeah,
as
I agree.
he will in future films to come. Like for example, in the ending of Shang-Chi, like he just has so much more to come as his character as Wong. Like he went from librarian to sidekick of Doctor Strange, and he just has so much more to come in not only Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness as in future films to come. Like if Shang-Chi gets a second film, Benedict Wong is just gonna have a bigger role to play.
And let's not forget about Mads, by the way.
Oh yes, as
Mads
Caecilius.
Preach.
Such a great, convincing villain.
But honestly,
the whole film, I mean, he just is so dedicated to his part, and he always kind of has that, like he has in most of his roles, that he almost carries like the swagger and demeanor when he speaks, as to like, listen, buddy, I know more than you think, and I'm going to teach you a lesson here today.
Honestly,
he really comes off really classy in this role, even though he has some really weird eye makeup with his eyes falling apart. Even then, he looks great, and he
I was gonna say he just reminds me of like the villain in No Time to Die. Like his villain role compared to the villain role in No Time to Die.
Casino Royale.
Like, oh, what?
Yeah, he's the villain of Casino Royale.
Yeah. Like he's like, them two are just so good. The villain in Doctor Strange, he just did it so well that I can just see him being in future films, even though he's he might be dead or whatever. Like I could just see
persuasive too. I mean,
honestly,
that's when he talks to Strange and is really like breaking down everything that's happening. I'm like, man, now I know why he has so many followers. Like
that's what I mean. Like,
Dave, wasn't it him you were making the Count Dooku comparison with, where you were saying he's kind of that villain where you understand the motivations behind it?
No, he really is that villain of kind of like Count Dooku, where it's almost reinvigorating to see a villain that's like, he's not wrong. He's a villain that's correct. Because most villains, like if you look into the Spider-Man villains, for instance, you see people like, the Green Goblin, Doc Ock. They're good people, but they're wrong.
Yeah.
He's the opposite. He's a bad person, but he's not wrong.
Right.
He is right.
Well,
the way he's addressing it is awful, but in philosophy and morals, he is correct. And obviously, we're going to see his theory, his moral system come to life here in the second movie, where he's like, can't tamper with things like this Strange and get away with it.
It just boils down to like, he's on the bad side, but at the same time, like in this MCU, I've noticed that there really is no wrong or right.
Right.
Like the good guys could be wrong and the bad guys could be right, and vice versa. Like he just portrayed a bad guy so well that he almost convinced me that he was right, in the same way that Doctor Strange was a good guy, but he just convinced me that he was wrong. Like it works the same both ways. Like
and much with the Count Dooku too, it's like he's doing bad things, so he doesn't even necessarily convince you that his side is right. He just convinces you they're definitely wrong, and you cannot be blinded by this, which is what both characters really show through. And that's Mads Mikkelsen here and Count Dooku, Christopher Lee, is both of them really exposed. Like, you do not understand what's going on.
Well, let's look at really quick though. Something I wanted to point out before we definitely ended this conversation as well was, Mordo, Chiwetel Ejiofor, when Doctor Strange was casting that forbidden spell, he said a line that really resonated with me this time around. When he said, he yelled it at him like, do you want people to forget who you are? And I just thought of Peter. Because when you're playing with that magic, look what happened to Peter. Everybody, you know, ended up to where everybody forgot who he was. So there are so many good points in this movie coming from all angles, the bad guys and the good. And so I love that about this film. And I love that this movie never strays away from, I guess its lane of just being gray, you know? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's always in a gray area, this movie. It never like goes out of those parameters.
Because the thing is, you could side with the good guys, you could side with the bad guys. Like with this movie, and I feel like it's gonna be the same with Doctor Strange 2, more with Doctor Strange 2 than with this one, is that you could really side with the gray side or you could side with the good side. Like it doesn't matter as long as you resonate with the movie. That's all that really matters, because you could be
right.
Whether Wanda is a bad guy or not, which I feel like I always thought, and I think she will still be a bad guy in the end.
Yeah.
I feel like you can resonate with either side depending on, you know, what your life has been like and where you really stand. I just feel like the MCU will always really just have that kind of message, especially, you know, with like Civil War, for example. You could be on either side. It just depends on where you stand. Like I feel like the MCU will. I feel like the MCU will always just resonate that kind of message.
Well, jumping off your point there, Jose, I think that's where Sam Raimi is going to really continue the continuity of Doctor Strange.
Exactly.
He's going to stay in that gray area because we know for damn sure Wanda does operate in a gray area to a degree. We understand because of WandaVision now where she's coming from, and Sam Raimi's going to carry that forward. He's still going to play in that sandbox of gray area.
Exactly. I feel like after, you know, sucking out Agatha Harkness's powers, she's always gonna have that dark side inside of her. You know, she's gonna have the good. She's gonna have the good and the bad inside of her. Especially like she might have not had that. She definitely didn't have that before she sucked her powers out. But I feel like after she sucked her powers out, Wanda's gonna have, in this movie, she's gonna have the good and the bad, and I feel like the bad is gonna resonate more in this movie. Which Doctor Strange is gonna have that good side, so I feel like you can resonate with both, because it's just that life experience of, you know, do you feel like you're more in the bad side or more in the good side? Like that's what I think. That's what I think Sam Raimi is excelling very well. Is that he's gonna resonate the bad side and the good side, which everyone's gonna be able to resonate with either the good side, which is Doctor Strange, or the bad side, which is Wanda.
Absolutely. And I love that this movie has so much lore where it already kind of set up its dark side and light side.
And the multiverse. And the
multiverse. Well, let me get to that, because I heard the multiverse mentioned 3 times, I counted in my head. And that's pretty cool that it was just kind of always there. Now, let me ask you guys a question, speaking of that, because it's kind of a mind fuck. But really think about this for a second, because I kept thinking about this in the Dormammu scene. So the way that Endgame set up time travel, they set it up to a degree, and I'm really asking because I really don't know the answer. I want to know what your guys' take is on this. They set it up to the degree of when you go back in time, it doesn't really affect the current universe that you're in. It's really almost like setting up a new timeline every time you do it. So when Doctor Strange is going back in time on multiple loops, is the Doctor Strange that we knew this whole time actually now dead because he died? And then now the timeline that he lived in is the actual MCU? Do you understand what I'm asking here?
Yeah, no, look. I'll tell you right now, I think that this movie is setting up the fact that he has gone back in time so many times that he has revealed all these different versions of himself. I think that the reason why we have so many different versions of Doctor Strange is because of the fact that he has gone back, you know, he's looped this scene with Dormammu so many times that he has released all these different versions of himself, which is why we are now getting all these different versions in this new movie. I don't think that is because of No Way Home. I think it's because of the fact that he has played this this loop scene with Dormammu so many times that he has released all these different versions of him, and now he is facing them in this movie. I think that's what I think, and I think that's why this is happening.
That's a good theory. Go ahead, Dave. What do you think? Because I'm fascinated by this stuff. Like, I love the time travel concept.
That's why I love film so much, because we can just theorize so many different things, and we can be right, we can be wrong.
We can just sit here and plagiarize new rock stars all day, man.
Hey, bro.
I'm just kidding. I was like,
dude, fuck you. No, for real though. Like, no, but that's the reason why I love film so much, because we can all have different theories. They can be right, they can be wrong. I just love setting different theories, because eventually one of us is gonna be right. Like, it's just something that I love talking about, because I love getting other people's opinions, because one of us could be right, the rest of us are gonna be wrong. I just love doing this, because this is the main reason why I love talking about movies, especially with you guys, because we just all have different theories. One of us is gonna be right, and when one of us is right, we will see and study why one of us is right, because we'll understand why we were right.
Well, I love this discussion, because this is probably my favorite type of show to do, is to watch something like this and just talk about it with my brothers. This is so fun to me.
We need to do more of these too.
Yeah, definitely.
Because
I plan to increase these for sure, because these are some of the most fun.
I feel, and that's the thing. I feel YouTube really needs more of this too.
I think so.
Us just watching movies, and us, all three of us, just
we revisited Doctor Strange. Here's what
exactly.
You forgot.
Like all of us just us three need to revise other movies, and kind of just, whether we all agree or disagree, we just need to revise different movies and kind of give our opinions to see if we're all on the same page or not. Whether we're on the same page or not, it's just good to revise it and have our opinions, because it just opens up different theories and things that we may have seen, and maybe we haven't. I mean, it's just good to do, you know what I mean? And that's why I'm glad that we revised. That's why I'm glad we revised this movie, because especially with this Doctor Strange 2 coming out, we all have our different theories. We agree on some stuff, we don't agree on some stuff. Like, it's good to have different thoughts, because this second movie is going to definitely blow all of our minds.
Yeah, absolutely. Back to the question though, the original one, Dave, what did you have on that? What was your kind of take?
Yeah, well, the proof is in the butter cream frosting. I don't remember what that phrase is, but let's pretend like I got it right then. This is definitely a question. The proof is in the pudding. Damn it. Why did
that is the saying?
The proof is in the pudding. Edit that out, even though you didn't edit out the last one, you bastard.
Wow.
It's all good. But the proof is in the pudding. This is a question for someone much smarter than myself. Sure. My understanding of it, I like Jose's thoughts on it.
Me too.
I could definitely see that being true.
Wow.
My understanding of it, though, rock stars. My understanding. Wow.
They agreed. Hey, no, hold on. This is all my thoughts. I did not see any.
Every time he says it like that.
Dave. No, look at me. I kid you not. This is all my thoughts. I didn't see any of New Rockstar's ideas on any of this.
Jose.
This is 100% my original thoughts.
No one believes you. No, I'm just kidding. No.
Wow.
I know this is your thoughts.
Sorry,
honestly,
Dave,
look. I hadn't seen any of New Rockstar stuff about.
I know. They probably haven't done anything on it yet. Even and if they did, it would have been you would have talked about it before now. But
exactly,
my understanding of what we're talking about here is that it's different in terms of the proofs in the pudding. Time travel is what they were doing in Endgame, and what the time stone gives the ability to do is to actually reverse back in time in that given timeline and universe. Now that's just been my understanding of it.
Yes.
And, that's what the big difference was what I thought is that the power to actually, that the time stone encapsulates, is to be able to actually reverse time in a timeline or universe. And what they were doing in Endgame was actually traveling to different dimensions. Hence why they traveled into, what do you call it? Through Ant-Man,
the quantum realm.
The quantum realm. Yeah, exactly. That's why they had to travel, because otherwise I would feel as though it would be affecting the quantum realm every time that Doctor Strange would
Well, that's what
rewind.
they-
Yeah, Dave's
like-
using, or it's not Dave.
yeah.
I'm sorry, Strange. Strange. I line up with you, Dave, because Strange is using a different set of rules, I think, than what the
Yeah.
Avengers
You know
were
what?
doing. They
I
were
was
trying
gonna
to
say-
figure out these are people without powers trying to time travel, or without the ability to
Exactly.
do so.
If-
That's
if I-
not their
if-
specialty.
traveling,
Trying
yeah.
to time travel.
If I-
So I line up with you on that. I think that's the more
Yeah.
correct answer.
And Jose's theory is really
It's not
awesome.
that
Like,
it's
if
a bad
that's
theory,
True.
absolutely
if,
not.
if
Yeah,
there's
no,
science
no.
there to explain it, I'm cool with it. But I thought the proof was in the pudding of the words time travel. And what Steven is doing is not traveling.
It's a
He's
time
just
loop.
reversing
Yeah,
time.
as he explained, he
You
says it's
know-
time loop. Yeah,
Yeah.
he set that up prior.
Why do all of my really good theories just come when I'm like drunk? It's funny.
I don't
But-
know, drink more alcohol, man. That's
I was-
good
I was
life
gonna-
choices.
I was gonna kind of bounce off of what you said about like the quantum realm and Ant-Man. I feel like when Doctor
You need a
Strange,
T-shirt that says that. By the way, why do all of my really good theories come when I'm drunk?
honestly, like
We'll get 'em printed.
I'm not gonna lie, it's a good and a bad. Like I feel like all my good theories should come when I'm sober, but they just don't. But I feel like that's gonna come with experience. But I bouncing off of you, Dave. I feel like when Doctor Strange went into the quantum realm, I feel like it was still in the Mirrorverse. So Ant-Man didn't know that Doctor Strange was there because he was going through the quantum realm in the Mirrorverse. So he didn't know that he was there. You know, because when you're in the Mirrorverse, it doesn't affect
Elaborate
the real
on
world.
that.
So when you're in the Mirrorverse, it doesn't affect the real world. So I feel like it applies the same when you're in the quantum realm. If he's in the quantum realm in the Mirrorverse, it's not going to affect the actual quantum realm.
So based on, well, explain the Mirrorverse, because I don't know that everybody's gonna know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So in this movie, especially when you're in the Mirrorverse, it is whatever you do in the Mirrorverse, it doesn't affect what you do in the real world. So what you do in the Mirrorverse, it doesn't affect what you do in the real world.
Yeah.
So I feel like whenever the Ancient One sent him to the quantum realm, which I believe he was sent through whenever she touched his eye, he was in the quantum realm. I feel like it was still through. It was still through the Mirrorverse. So when he was sent to the quantum realm, it was in the Mirrorverse. It wasn't in the real
Right.
world. So
We don't know that that's the quantum realm, but I see what you're saying. 'cause
True,
it looks
true.
a lot like it.
Exactly.
I mean, visually, it would make sense.
exactly, which I feel like is just it's setting up for Ant-Man in the Quantumania. I feel like it's setting up more for that. I feel like Doctor Strange is gonna be
Thought of
in.
that.
I feel like
Yeah,
I
That
feel like
makes
Doctor
sense
Strange.
though.
I feel like Doctor Strange is gonna be in Ant-Man Quantumania because he knows the quantum realm. He's been there before, just in the Mirrorverse, not in the real version of the quantum
That makes
realm.
a lot of sense now that you say that. Actually,
You see, that's the thing is I make more sense
When
when
you're
I'm drunk than when I'm sober. I don't know why, but I just do.
well, we know
But-
that Feige's not getting rid of this multiverse anytime soon, and
That's-
that
you know
they're
what-
going
you know
to
what-
use this
you
as
know-
a tool. Yeah.
You know what the thing is that like Kevin Feige is just so ahead of his time that he knows like 10 different phases in front of all of us.
That's the
Like,
facts. Yeah.
he knows what he wants to do 3 or 4 different steps ahead of all of us.
Yeah.
Like, he knows what he wants his projects to be about 3 or 4 different steps
Yeah.
ahead of all of us. Like Kevin Feige is the best. I'm not gonna lie. In Disney, when it comes to Disney, Kevin Feige is the best.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
Mm.
Even like look. I'm the biggest fan of Star Wars, but I
Right.
just feel like Kevin
No, you're
Feige
not.
I am.
You're
But
second to me, but yes. Okay,
shut your
continue.
mouth. I hate your hat.
I don't think any
Anyways,
of you are on my level, but yeah, go ahead.
Kevin Feige is just doing Marvel better than
Right.
any other Disney person ever. Like he
Yeah, I'm
just
not going to
know
disagree with you. Yeah.
he's like 4 or 5 steps ahead of all of us. He just knows what he wants for the projects to come 4 or 5 years in the future. He's so good that he's just that far ahead.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I don't disagree
Yeah.
with that point at
Yeah.
all. I think that
He's just so experienced that he knows what he wants
That's
for his
really
future projects. Like he's just ahead of his time.
well, he loves this stuff. I mean, I would
Yeah,
maybe
that's
say
right.
the
He's-
closest
he
thing
has-
is Filoni for Star Wars, even though he's not
yeah, 100%. Like
running the
Filoni,
show. But yeah,
like Filoni is Star Wars as Kevin Feige is to Marvel. Like Feige, I feel like Feige has been a fan of Marvel since he was born, and he just knows he has studied and he knows Marvel better than anyone in the world. That's why that's why Kevin Feige is still in the position that he is today, because he just knows Marvel so well.
But
that everything that he has done for Marvel is because he knows that it'll just blow up for Marvel.
Now the difference is Feige gets to run all of it now, as opposed to Filoni's only had to create it for, I think,
exactly, yeah. Exactly. But so look, you can look at the position that Feige's in compared to the one for Star Wars. Feige is still just 5 steps ahead.
He's got the power, right? But yeah, you're right in the sense that Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, we could see it this week, and it could be mind-blowing in the sense that it actually ends on this sort of open-endedness, and we can be wondering what's going to happen next, and the next thing you know, he's got to show up in Quantumania for whatever reason. I think that you're correct. I hadn't thought of that, because Quantumania is actually going to be sort of a continuation, I think, of everything kind of happening with this multiverse and all that.
You see, I was going to say, and that's what I was going to say, is I feel like Kevin
also
Feige,
set up in this Doctor Strange film we watched today, by the way. They did set up the quantum realm.
Exactly. I was gonna say that too, is that they have set up so much for the quantum realm that I think they're gonna expand on that in Doctor Strange 2.
Yeah.
That when it comes to Quantumania, man, Doctor Strange is gonna be in it, because if I'm being honest, I didn't see Doctor Strange as that big of a role until I watched this movie.
Yeah.
That after watching Doctor Strange 2, I think that he's going to be a way bigger character than we thought. He's going to be in Ant-Man Quantumania, because he's just that big of a character. Like,
yeah, dude, I just watched Stranger Things, dude, and it was like, couldn't agree more, dude.
Did you catch that, Dave?
Yeah, no, I'm just like, dude, Mark Hamill, dude, how is he the Joker and Luke Skywalker? We don't understand these things, you know.
Well, when I was, no, never mind. I'll talk to you off air, Jose.
I heard what he said. That's why I'm mocking him.
Okay.
You made us live up. It's all good, Jose.
It's nothing bad.
We've been drinking. No, you said something funny, dude.
Are you upset? Jose,
what?
Go ahead.
What?
He's out of it. He woke up.
He went into the quantum realm there for a second, folks. We're sorry.
Bro,
yeah.
I was in a different place, bro.
Yeah.
You very subtly dropped a miscommunication there, so we just died. We just low-key died laughing.
Wait, did I?
A little bit.
Yeah. You just misspoke out of words, so.
Wait, what did I
People
say?
are freaking out like, Jose, got insider information.
You said, okay, just to clarify really quick so we can move the fuck on. You just said that you said Dr. Strange.
Dr. what?
Strange.
Sorry, I've been drinking way too much.
Yeah, sorry.
Anyways.
Go ahead. Continue.
No, yeah, Doctor Strange is going to play a way bigger role in future films than we think, because in terms of the multiverse, he's especially in the film that we just rewatched, he plays a way bigger role in the multiverse than we actually think. Like he's just the GOAT.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead, Dave.
No, yeah, Jose's totally right. Not only that, but after watching this, I kind of backtrack and you see he's the GOAT and everything he does. Infinity War, Endgame, dude, he has the world on his shoulders, and even the smallest of things like the battle and
he's the ancient one now.
The battle in Endgame. I mean, like, you don't see him fighting the whole time, and that's because he's holding the entirety of the river that is about to collapse on everyone on the battlefield or wipe out the van. And it's like, that's a pretty important position. It doesn't seem like it, but he's the only reason that everything is going the way that it is, and everything has even made it that far at that point.
I was going to say, he holds that power on the 1 billion possibilities that he predicted with the time stone. There's that one prediction that was them being victorious, which is him giving up the time stone, which is why he is now the ancient one, because he now possesses the time stone, the Eye of Agamotto, which he saw that the only way for them to win was him giving up the stone, which is why I give so much props to Doctor Strange, because he is now with the ancient one. He just holds that power. Time.
But yeah, exactly. It was so no, look, can we give it up for Rachel McAdams for being a love interest in this movie, by the way, because she is actually one of the stronger ones in the entirety of the MCU. I gotta be honest.
And she is so fucking hot.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, look, she's great. She's great in this movie.
Kristen Palmer.
Yeah.
The scene, look, she's not in that much of this movie, but the scenes that she's in this movie are so underrated.
Yeah.
That I feel like people just don't appreciate enough because.
Well, you have this. She kind of keeps the movie grounded because you have this human story going on underneath all the fantastical areas, and she keeps it grounded.
She kind of keeps that mystery at the same time because throughout this entire film, it's all just mystery and magic with Doctor Strange, and then we just come back to this human aspect of her being a doctor.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like she keeps us grounded in the fact that we're still human. Yeah. even though we're exploring this other world that we just don't understand. Well, yeah. She keeps us grounded in this human form.
I feel like in this, going into the sequel, now we're thinking on top of the fantastical stuff, the multiverse stuff. Holy shit, it's Professor X. We're also kind of thinking about this human story. What happens to the relationship between Strange and Christine, which is really great as well.
I mean, according to the trailer, they're just friends because he attends,
and she's getting married to somebody else, and we'll find out.
He attends her funeral, which is to an African American guy.
Absolutely.
So, which I feel like she's gonna play a way bigger role in this movie than we actually think because. The watch I've seen, the watch that he gives her plays a way bigger role in this movie than it did in the last one. So she plays a way bigger role in this movie than we actually thought.
Yeah, what do you got, Dave? Jose Ziegler.
Yeah, and as I explained to you guys, whenever I watched the last show, I don't let a scene take 0.5 more than 0.5 amount of influence unless it's absolutely awful and destroys the plot away from something. But that is one of the things I was going to say is that with Christine, one of the things that I'm probably going to be annoyed with that they keep visiting, especially in superhero movies, is the otherworldly Doctor Strange is so strong and powerful, and because of that you're always in danger, and I just feel like there may be an annoying waste of space. I don't think it's a reason for anyone watching to not go see the movie, but it would be, I'm just saying that's hopefully a spot where they could do something interesting, because I'm just sick of the constant Thor, Jane Foster, which they've actually changed now. It looks like coming to the new movie finally. But for the longest time, that's constantly a trope in all these movies is that, the hero is just so strong. I constantly put you in danger. We can't be together. And then they spend all this time together just to go their separate ways. And it's like, it's so predictable at this point. I pray to God that they do something different.
But I didn't feel like she played the typical. This is part of it, because when they were having that argument earlier on, which is brilliant acting by both of them, when he was first having his injury, when they, see Jose, I do it too. But when they were both having he was having the injury, I was thinking about the fact that she really was strong enough. She had enough cojones to really just walk herself out of there. Where most females, they get screamed at by Strange, they'd probably be like crying and like, "Oh, baby, please come back." Like that's just such.
And to
a
be
trope.
fair, that's what I liked about this movie. I'm just saying with the direction that it's heading in terms of the relationship, I don't see it going anywhere. But that's what I'm saying. Hopefully, we'll see.
Yeah.
I feel like I was gonna say, I feel like that's the case in this movie, especially because of the fact that she gets married to someone else. I feel like in this movie, we're going to get an explanation as to why she moved on and she found this new love that she is now in. But I also do feel at the same time that she might realize that the guy that she has fallen in love with and married is not the right person for her. And that in the end, Doctor Strange is the person that she ultimately should have ended up with. I feel like we are going to see that in this film. I do feel that, because especially just seeing in this first Doctor Strange movie, I feel like they were always just destined to be together. I feel like we're going to see that in this movie.
Or she dies, and that's going to have a new impact on him.
Oh,
because now I understand 100%. The disappointment of that by people, like when I say that, but on the same hand, think about how much that would do for Strange as a character if he lost her.
I was gonna say that 100%.
I'm just saying it's possible.
No, I do agree with you 100%. That's but at the same time,
Let's kill her, man. Let's get
at
it.
the same time, we see that in like almost every single Marvel film or any single like
Do we?
comic book character.
Only one I can think of
Well,
is
what I don't like-
Gwen Stacy and Amazing Spider-Man.
Well, I also thought
True.
of Gamora as well, but what I don't like is the
Yeah.
Marvel fake death universe. You know what I'm
Bring 'em
saying?
back.
Because they do that a lot, where they do the fake out death. It seems like.
Yeah,
So-
it looks like they're doing it to Vision right now. Gamora's already back.
Yeah. So I don't want them. Sorry, my camera's having a hard time focusing right now, but I don't want
okay,
them
you're
to
beautiful.
do that to. I don't want them to do that to her if they do kill her. Make this the Marvel.
I think
fake
your
death universe.
beers are actually messing up your focus because they're focusing it on the beers
Oh,
right now.
hey, look at that.
That's I got
You're
you.
right.
Man, I
Holy
got
shit!
you.
Look at that.
I got you.
Now I know where to not put my.
Bro,
beers.
From my point of view, I was like, man, it's really focusing in on that beer top there.
Wow. Yeah, you're right.
Hey, Dave's got
I
you.
got you.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. Anyway, so
Dave's
that's
a
what
real
I
one.
wouldn't want, because it is the multiverse of
Yeah.
madness, to just be like, well, we could pull a different Christine from a different universe and it'll be okay.
I feel like
That'd be my
like,
worry.
at the same time, I think we're gonna get that in this movie. I feel like we're gonna get a different Christine Palmer in the beginning, but then as the movie goes on, I feel like we're gonna get the old Christine Palmer back.
I don't mind having a different Christine Palmer if it plays into the what if stuff, because that could be very interesting.
You see, that's the thing. Look, and I do understand that, and I suck new Rockstar's dick so hard. I've seen videos. I know you guys don't, because you guys just don't want to be spoiled, but I just can't resist. I've seen clips.
I don't think they're right that much.
Look,
That's
I've
more or
seen
less what it is.
I've seen clips that they've talked about where Captain Carter is going to be in this film.
Well,
I've
I think
seen
we
clip-
can verify that at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like, that's the thing, is like, if we get a different Christine Palmer at first, I wouldn't mind, but I would love seeing in the end the same Christine Palmer that was always in love with Doctor Strange, and they end up being together. Like, I would love to see that.
Yeah. Couple of other highlights, though. You were talking about this scene, Jose. Like, you were hyping this up. Well, let me mention this one really quick. The standoff between the Ancient One and, why did I forget his name? Caesarea?
Dallas? Oh, fuck.
Lando Calrissian.
You're right. So the
That's the
standoff
one.
between Tilda Swinton and Mads Mikkelsen is so good
Yes.
in the filmmaking sense when they have that big moment there. Amazing. And then when she dies, it's actually super emotional. You're right, Jose, because you were already kind of saying that you were feeling like you were going to get emotional over it, and actually it hit my heart a little bit more than I thought it was going to. Now, the contrast that we also had the scene with Strange in the hospital where he had his like outer body projection. Amazing, right? That stuff played really well. I just thought as an action sequence, and a lot of the action in this movie is shot incredibly well for the most part. Not
100%.
quite as good as, say, Shang-Chi in terms of the action sequences, but still pretty good. And I was so enamored by a lot of it. And when they were having that ghost fight, that was top notch, I'm not gonna lie. And the way that they use that sort of parallel between what's happening with the real Strange and going on in the sort of outer world there, or that stuff is
I
it's
loved
great.
him slamming across the room. The blood
Oh
kind
my
of like
God.
starts moving like it's Jurassic Park and the T-Rex is stopping
Yeah.
closer.
And that actually brings me to the comedy in this movie too, because we had the vending machine moment, which I thought was brilliant.
Oh yeah, grabs the chips, takes off.
with Dr. Nick, that shit was fucking
Yeah.
hilarious, bro.
Amazing.
That shit, because he was putting in his quarter to get the chips or whatever,
Yeah.
and then they go through and like all the different chips just come through. That shit was hilarious.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought that worked incredibly well.
And I was gonna say too is that like there's a lot of scenes and sayings in this movie that really were funny
Yeah.
and significant that I just loved.
Right. The humor didn't play too over the top. It was kind of very fitting for every moment that it had. And going into, I think, Dave, you were mentioning this a second ago, correct? Not a second ago, but a little bit ago. Correct me if I'm wrong. When you were kind of talking about, I believe, just why people were kind of forgetting about this movie and not mentioning it as much as when you think of Doctor Strange, it's it is what the title is. It's strange. And this movie does have a very strange structure to it. Like, I'm not trying to make a pun. It's just a fact. But I also feel that that is what you need to make a Doctor Strange movie. That's why I'm so confident
it throws
in
a
Sam
lot of
Raimi's
curveballs at you.
direction for it, because Sam Raimi knows bonkers. He understands what bonkers means. You tell Sam Raimi make a bonkers
he'll flip
movie,
you upside down on your head.
Exactly. And I think that that's what is going to be so great about his cut of it. But this movie, Scott Derrickson's no exception. While it's a little bit more in structure to things we've seen, it's definitely got somewhat of a strange pace to it. I mean that in a good way.
Yeah.
I really do, where you look at...
You can just tell that from the amount of stuff in the trailer. I mean, just from the different scenes, it's kind of like, I don't know how the hell any of this is going to connect.
Yeah, you can't really connect everything together. Like, a lot of the times when we see trailers, depending on how much they're willing to give us, you can typically piece things together. Like, this is going to be in the third act. That's going to be in the first act.
This will, you can see repeats of scenes.
You can see what
and kind of link together. Like, obviously, this is going to be towards the end. This will be in the opening, and this one you watch, and it's kind of like, they could open with any of these. They could finish with any of these.
Even No Way Home, which they barely gave us any of. When you saw what was in the third act, you knew that was going to take place somewhere in the third act, and they did a good job of keeping a lot from us in the No Way Home trailers. But I'm saying, you still knew what was going to kind of be where. With the Doctor Strange trailers, you're like, where does this take place in the movie? Because I know for a fact, and this isn't really a spoiler, but I know for a fact when he does that like buzzsaw thing through the bus, that looks like a third act moment. I know for a fact it takes place in the first 20 minutes.
You talking about versus when he fights Gargantos, right?
Yes. I think it's in the first 20 minutes of this thing.
But I was gonna say they released like a 1 minute clip of Doctor Strange versus Gargantos, and like that shit was sick. And I mean, I definitely agree with you. That's definitely in the third act. Like, that shit is like one of the fights that would take place like during one of the final moments of the movie.
And I think Derrickson, one of the benefits, if we could talk about this first movie here again, one of the benefits that I think Sam Raimi now has is the fact that Doctor Strange. Well, yeah, Doctor Strange the movie, but more or less Scott Derrickson did such a great job just laying the groundwork already that Sam Raimi can just kind of go nuts now. I don't think he has so much that he's tied to anymore, because when you look at all the lore that was set up, we were saying it's a great setup movie as much as it is just an origin story,
Like Sam Raimi didn't really have much of a character arc to set up. He just had more of like to bounce off of and just kind of expand on.
And that speaks volumes about this film, because it really sets up so freaking much.
And like Sam Raimi just can go darker with it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like to see Empire Strikes Back for Doctor Strange. Fuck this guy up, dude.
Hopefully.
Yeah, like Sam Raimi just has a darker way to go with this movie, because the other director just did so well to
set it up very well, and
he set up Doctor Strange so well that Sam Raimi can just go darker with it, because those are the kind of movies that Sam Raimi directs, especially with his movie with his Venom and Sandman. It was so dark that he can now just
Spider-Man 3, right? Yeah,
Spider-Man 3, he could just go off of that movie and just kind of go darker. He can go off of.
Sorry,
what'd you say?
Spider-Man 3. I don't like Spider-Man 3.
Bro, let's go off.
Yeah. Well, guess what? I don't like your toe. I hope you fucking stub it.
It looks like Dave and I are on the same page. We're against you.
I'm sorry. I don't like Spider-Man 3 that much. What do you want me to say?
Spider-Man 3 doesn't like you.
Okay, that's fine.
Wow. No,
I own it.
It's not fine. No,
I paid money for it. I own it on
I was saying, Sam Raimi can really go off of the first Doctor Strange and really go darker with it. He can just expand off of what the first movie did and really just go darker with it. Especially with Wanda in it, he can really just go darker with it, because she's just especially now that she has trapped Agatha Harkness in her world and has kind of consumed her power. He can now go darker with all the characters that are in this new movie, because that's just the genre he's really best at.
No, you're right. And that's kind of what we were going with this whole time here. Now, going back into this one, another thing I wanted to point out was the sling ring. We kind of found out a little bit more about that in this first movie that I didn't even realize was already set up for Ned in No Way Home.
I'm not gonna lie. I thought that Doctor Strange was able to do his magic without the sling ring. Honestly, even watching this first Doctor Strange movie, I thought that the end of the movie, he was able to do it without it. I thought he was gonna be like, like in Sorcerer's Apprentice, how he was able to do the magic.
Fuck's sake!
No, honestly though, I'm being 100% honest. But
I know you are. That's what's so bad about it. I know you're dead serious.
At the end of that movie, he was able to do magic without a ring. I thought that at first that this movie was exactly like that. That he was going to be able, he was going to be able to do magic without his ring. But I realized that he's only able to do magic with the ring. I thought it was going to be like that, but I've realized now, obviously more now than ever, that he needs the ring, and the ring really just makes him that much more powerful. I wish that he was more powerful without the ring. That would have made the message that much greater.
Yeah.
But it didn't turn out to be that way, and I like it. I mean, it's something different.
I'm sorry. I'm not laughing.
Hey, fuck all y'all. Fuck all y'all.
No. Your points are very good. Your points are good. I understand the parallel and where you were coming from. I'm not saying that.
No, hey, fuck y'all.
But look,
especially Dave, because he's too embarrassed to show his face.
Let's kind of wrap this with.
You know what, Dave? Hey, Dave, how about I don't come this summer, bro? How about that?
That's fine. I watch The Sorcerer's Apprentice by myself and all the new Rockstar videos on it, motherfucker. So you can just sit there and not watch it.
That'll get them there. Look,
hey, you ain't gonna watch those without me, bro. I can tell you that right now.
I'm gonna put it on right after the show. You've convinced me, Jose. You got me, dude. You just said it 5 million times, and now I'm sold. Unsubscribing from Screen Rant, subscribing to new Rockstars.
Look, all right. So let's end this with Thor and Bishop, because two great post-credit scenes that were set up very well. I think the Thor one, now the first one is the conversation that Strange and Thor have in Thor Ragnarok, but I think it's a little bit extended as opposed to the scenes we actually got in the movie.
Like we got scenes in that movie that we haven't seen in the actual scene in what movie was that in?
Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah. So we got scenes in this. We got the scenes in this first end credit scene that we haven't seen in Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah.
Which I really enjoyed because it kind of gave us a sneak peek of what was to come in Thor Ragnarok. But at the same time, it set up stuff that we might see in future projects. For example, in Thor: Love and Thunder, like I really do like how Marvel sets up future projects in their end credit scenes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's something I can really appreciate from the MCU and Disney.
That was a great part of this film, honestly.
100%.
Because it did give us the foreshadow of where Doctor Strange was eventually going to end up and where we would see him next. Because we knew at the time, I believe, that Thor Ragnarok was coming. We knew there was going to be a Thor 3.
Especially after that end credit scene from Doctor Strange in 2016, we knew that Thor Ragnarok was coming.
Right.
I mean, we knew that
Thor
3 was coming. We just didn't know the title of it. We knew Thor 3 was coming. We just didn't know the name of the title.
Yeah, I can't quite remember if we did or not at that point, but either way, it was cool to see where we would see him again. We knew that there was something going to happen, and it's still one of my favorite scenes in the Thor movie is the one with Doctor Strange in
100%.
It's one of my favorites.
And the Loki thing in the Abyss, that shit was funny as hell. It's one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite.
I've been falling for 30 minutes.
Yes.
It's one of my favorite parts from Thor Ragnarok is the whole scene with Loki coming out of the abyss and like,
wonderful.
I've been falling for 30 minutes.
It's great. It's wonderful.
And then he goes to attack.
I do too.
Doctor Strange, and then he does the portal and just sends Thor and Loki into where his father was.
Absolutely. And the other part of it is not the bigger one, obviously, that's going to have more implications.
The second end credit scene, is
Bishop, which is
exactly
directly to this one.
Go ahead, Dave. What do you got?
Yeah, just directly draws the line of, we forget. Oh man, I'm forgetting the guy's name. What is it, Mordo?
Mordo, played by the great Chiwetel Ejiofor.
Mordo, yeah. Yes, I almost forgot that Mordo's in the trailer, and he's a villain in this. Yeah, the fact that obviously
Illuminati.
Mordo is deeply, he's full Illuminati. He is fully messed up. I mean, he obviously took the message that he told everyone in the movie and took it really to heart. I mean, he took away a man's legs. Wow. He just took away a man's legs, and that is messed up.
So
we see you.
Raising his hand.
I was gonna say that I feel like Mordo in this Doctor Strange 2 is gonna be the new what's his name? The bad guy in Doctor Strange 1. What's his name?
Khaleesi.
Yeah, him. I feel like he's gonna be him in the second movie. Why? Because the Ancient One is dead in Doctor Strange 1. I feel like he's gonna become him in the second movie.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I just feel like I have this tingling sensation in the back of my head.
It's a good point.
He's gonna become him in the second movie.
Yeah, so, and then Wanda would be the sort of Dormammu, because I feel like what's gonna happen.
Oh my god, bro. You just read my mind. I feel like yeah, exactly. Wanda's gonna be the new Dormammu, and he's gonna be like one of her followers. Yeah. Like he's like, I feel like in this movie we're gonna see him talk to her before Doctor Strange does, and he's gonna turn into one of her followers.
I don't know if that makes sense though, because one of the biggest keys to that is that Mordo would totally disagree with I don't know, Wanda controlling the entire village that she controlled for the sake of grief and abusing her power.
I think what we're saying is more or less I got you, Jose. Hang on. Is I think what we're saying is more or less in the sense that we have one kind of smaller villain in Mordo, and then the even bigger villain is going to be Wanda, because I think Professor X is coming in and he's going to fuck the whole shit up, because Professor X is going to be like, look, this Wanda, there's more to her than we know, and I think Professor X is coming in to tell Strange about all this shit. So I think.
Oh my god, when Professor X rolls on screen, dude. And says, I had another young lady with too much power beyond control, much like yourself. Oh my god, I'm gonna freak out. Jean Grey.
Yeah.
I was gonna say too that maybe he doesn't know that Wanda has done all this, evil shit in the past.
I think X does. I think Professor X does. Yeah.
Professor X does know, but I feel like
if he doesn't, he'll find out real quick. No. I mean, that's kind of his thing.
I feel that's the thing. I feel like Mordo doesn't know. I feel like he's still, kind of in the tunnel, his vision's just tunnel where he doesn't actually know everything that Wanda has done. He kind of just convinced her that she's right, kind of like how Dormammu did. He convinced him that he was right. I feel like it's the same thing here with Wanda, with Mordo, that she convinces him that she's right, and he kind of just follows her because he'd rather follow her than Benedict Cumberbatch is Doctor Strange. I feel like that's going to be the way that he goes in this movie. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
Look,
yeah.
I think
I feel like he's very close-minded, that he kind of just follows the person that he believes is right at the moment.
Yeah. I think the next movie mornings we do is going to be a Doctor Strange Multiverse pregame show. To where we can actually really go full blown with our theories and stuff. So that'll probably be the continuation of this in a way. But yeah, look, guys, the first Doctor Strange is a great movie, and you guys should definitely check it out. It's really phenomenal. It's directed by Scott Derrickson, so if you've liked his horror films, check this out just to see his sensibilities that he brought into this one.
If you haven't seen a lot of the Marvel movies, if you like magic, if you like whimsical sorcery of powers, you go watch Doctor Strange, and when you're done with that and you still need more, you watch The Sorcerer's Apprentice, stamped and approved by Jose Espinal. That's what you go do.
He's telling people to watch it.
But he's taking the piss.
Plugging your stuff, bro.
No. He's taking the piss. He's taking the piss.
Yeah, he is. But
yeah, exactly. That's what I'm doing. That's why I'm flicking him off. Anyways,
okay. Anyway, go ahead.
Fuck you, Dave. But no, honestly, if you guys haven't seen this movie, I know that a lot of you guys out there are either new viewers or you guys are old viewers of Marvel and don't like the newer stuff. You guys really do need to check this movie out, because it'll open your guys' eyes to this next Doctor Strange movie coming out. You guys also do need to watch WandaVision because it'll open your eyes.
Background, good idea. Yeah.
Movie. Exactly. That's what I mean. Like, you need to watch this Doctor Strange movie and WandaVision because it'll prepare you guys for this upcoming movie, because both of them are in this movie, and it'll just completely blow your minds and open your guys' eye to what's gonna come in this next movie. I know that for a fact.
And even some of the things that have already come that you probably didn't realize were set up so long ago. It's so
oh my gosh, bro, praise. Like,
Yeah.
you guys, a lot of you guys out there, I'm not trying to roast you guys, but most of the people out there are just so simply minded. You guys don't understand the complexity of what's happening around the MCU. You guys really just need to watch these and just really understand what's going on and what is to come in future MCU projects. Honestly, like, I look, and I'm someone who's still in college and studying film, and I honestly now understand more than ever that these movies and shows are really just setting up more to what is to come for the MCU.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I say that, look, I say that in the deep, look, I'm being for real right now. I say this deepest part of my heart right now, that you guys really do need to watch WandaVision and this Doctor Strange movie, because it sets up so much more to what is to come in this Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness.
In No Way Home, I think that's obviously an important piece to like everything like coming up.
That's who, yeah. Obviously, No Way Home because Doctor Strange is obviously Doctor Strange is in it, and No Way Home really does help set up what is to come in this Multiverse of Madness. Honestly, No Way Home, WandaVision, and Doctor Strange really do just set up what is to come in this new movie. Honestly,
and Top Gun, because we're getting Tom Cruise Iron Man.
I mean, shit. I mean, yeah, shit. I mean, 100%. I agree with Dave.
Yeah. Oh, last thing here too about this movie, and we have to mention it because the guy's just been killing it and everything he's been doing. Michael Giacchino's score again, great in this, and especially when the third act popped up and came back around, I was like, oh my gosh, it really swells, because for the majority of the movie I was thinking this is one of his weaker scores, but like when the third act came around and it really swelled, I was like, oh man, Giacchino, man, he kills it every time. He really great score.
I was gonna say, like, honestly, like watching rewatching this movie, I really could appreciate the score in this movie a lot more than I did the first time watching this.
Yeah,
he's underrated, man. His score in this movie, phenomenal. I love it, and yeah, man, it's great. I don't have any other words than just it's great.
Absolutely, man. All right, guys, I think that's where we're gonna wrap this one. So check it out. Check out Doctor Strange, and if you haven't already, come back, watch this discussion again, because it's I hope we gave a lot of insight for you. Anyway, guys, I've been Don Martino once again. I want to thank my two panelists here very much for their time, Mr. David Shresh and Dave. Where can people find you?
You guys can find me on Snapchat, on Instagram at BKingDavid. If you want to find Jose Espinel, you can go to your Dollar Theater and catch him at the Sorcerer's Apprentice showing. That's showing there every day.
Absolutely.
I hope you have a great week.
All right. And Jose, where can people find you?
You guys can find me on all socials at Type 1 Latino, all together on all underscore. And I guess it's the first time me mentioning this on this channel, but I now have a brand deal with Habits 365. You guys use the code Type 1 Latino, all uppercase, all together. You guys get 20% off, and please use it. Please use it. It'll support me a lot. I would appreciate it, and thank you.
All right, and then make sure you guys check out Jose and Dave's stereos that they've been doing as well. They've been really great, and you guys can also find Jose on the couch at home watching Sorcerer's Apprentice on Disney Plus. Once again, I've been Don Martino. Please go to the Twitter page, Interax Official, and Instagram page, Interax Official. You can follow me personally on Twitter at Dom_Martino_, and on Instagram, Dom_Martino_official. And I want to thank you guys again for checking out Spotify like I know you did. I know you went over there and followed, you sons of bitches. If you didn't, please make sure you do. And if you're already on Spotify, head over to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/c/Interax. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave some feedback in the comment section. And it really helps when you guys do that. 100% lets us know that you guys are out there listening and that we're talking to somebody. So thank you so much for the ones that have been. It's great. And yeah, share us with your friends. Make sure you do that as well. Let them know that this is a really good home that they are welcome to listen to movie content, so long as they don't hop in the comment section and start being a bunch of jackasses. Anyway, thank you guys. This will wrap this episode up of Movie Mornings, and we'll talk to you guys later.